Okay, so this is your results. I put your survey in here, and as you can see on the outside, there's numbers on the outside: one, two, three, four, five. 4 and 5 are not on the actual results sheet because they're ranges. Which in this case, you got mostly college age students over here. What's the GPA? Pretty much everybody's doing fairly well in school. Okay, you've already seen your numbers, so I'm not going to go over those. I'm going to go right to the actual stuff. So, looking at question one, 63% said D, which was never. Okay, so you're going to have to look at both of them. Okay, so there's 19 that said never. D was never. Okay, so, and you were good. You kept it all the same. So here, 63% never used marijuana. This is the breakdown for your demographics. Okay, of the male and female. I don't remember what 6 is, but 0 to 5 uses per week, 90%. Sometimes acceptable to the group. Sometimes the community is okay to smoke. Okay, then you get into the nevers. Never when they got older. Never when they were in college. Never when they got anxious. Never when they were depressed. Never were dependent. Now, but if you go back to 13, never depressed, you had 80%, but you'd have 13.3% that did use marijuana when they were depressed. Okay, never supposed to pain. Okay, never social, never family, never fit in, never sometimes with a friend. Okay, and those are just kind of generics. You're really pointing toward the idea that a lot of your folks did not use marijuana, but a lot of your folks, some of your participants didn't. Uh, had friends that did it, had family that had done it. Um, it's pretty straightforward. So your demographics that you have up here at the top, such as white, Latino, how many times you use marijuana, age, and that is your first paragraph written out like it's supposed to be. Okay, and then you're going to the second paragraph where you're going to talk about your results. Not using numbers in that, you're going to talk about some of the different questions that came up that were really high in terms of never. Okay, now there is some things in here that I saw. So what I want you to do is look at. It's okay. Think of it this way: it's okay for the kids to smoke. Okay to openly smoke marijuana. Okay, and then there's other questions in there that match up to that. What you're doing is putting multiple questions together now to come up with an answer. So, um, they never used. Um, the funny thing is, let's see, where's have you? So you have the funny thing here is that when you okay, so when I got older, I don't use marijuana. Okay, but you've got 6 people who are 6 or so, let's say 6, 7, 8, 9, who use marijuana when they're anxious, and use marijuana for 6 that use marijuana when they're depressed. So you have a little bit of a contrast there in terms of the answering the questions. Dig deep. Talk about a few of the questions and then why those questions came out. Okay? So in your discussion, in your results, you're going to talk about the numbers. So your first, maybe I said it wrong earlier. Your first paragraph is about your demographics. Your second paragraph, don't have to talk about all the numbers. Talk about the numbers that you're going to talk about in your discussion. So if you're going to talk about how they never use it for a lot of things, talk about those different numbers in just basically simple sentences. Okay? So like you have the ones where there's 90 and 13. I would talk about both of those. And when I talk about it, I said you're just reporting it. Now, when you go to your discussion, you're going to take those without the numbers, write out a sentence, and discuss why these answers are coming out. What are some of the reasons for those answers to happen? Okay? If you have any questions, hit me up.